Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody in the chat. I saw Brazards. I saw Uncle Al, Gil. There's a few other people as well. We are live with Trip H. We are going to be talking about elderberries and how good they are for you, and probably a little more education as far as how to take care of them as well, because I don't know how to do that. I have elderberry bushes I don't think I've ever trimmed or anything like that. So I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way about that. And so, yep, we got the Bazards in here now. And so let's go ahead and we'll get right into it. How are you doing tonight? Pretty good? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, no, that was weird.
Okay. That was weird. Okay. I'm good.
Bad internet. Well, my internet's been weird too. So,
well, I'm sitting on an abandoned gas station in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. So,
yeah, I understand. Well, I want to thank you for doing this, even though you've been so busy and everything with everything else you got going on in your personal life as well. So I really appreciate
pleasure.
it. So, all right. So, he is a truck driver. He is on the road. Hi, Boonchild. I see you, girl. Hi, F&P Farms. Yeah. So he's a truck driver. He's like your typical American, hardworking. He's out there trying to do this. Do the YouTube and do like we do as well. And so let's get into it. What got you into elderberries?
Well, the very first time we ever heard of elderberry, it was strictly a cash crop idea. So my dad had a few acres of land that he wasn't using, and we found out there was a gentleman just down the road from him that was honestly making a killing off of 4 acres of elderberry. And so we looked into it and just didn't have enough water supply to do a commercial grow there. So that was my first introduction. And I'm the type, whenever I get an idea, want to get into something, I really deep dive into researching it.
Yeah.
And with Tasha, which I wish she could have been here tonight with us tonight, but with some of her health issues that she has, and when I was researching, I found out that elderberry is a natural diuretic. So, which was one of the medications that she was on. Okay. And so we went and talked to the big commercial grower and ended up buying some elderberry from him. And she started taking it. And then she started taking it 3 times a day. And she started feeling better than she ever had when she was on her medication.
Huh.
And then lo and behold, to me, I asked her, do you need me to stop and pick up your medication? Because I knew it was coming time that I stopped and picked up her month's supply. And at the time, she was taking 24 different medications a day.
Yeah.
So for her Meniere's. And that's when she told me that for a month and a half, she had just been dumping her pills, and the elderberry had done away with all the need for the medication. So nice. She got off 23 of her 24 medications. She did have to go back on a thyroid pill.
Okay.
But the elderberry has completely, well, I would say 90% kept her Meniere's attacks in check.
Wow.
So the doctors are astonished at how well it's done for her.
Yeah, really. And, a lot of people have a lot of folklore as far as a lot of herbal remedies and stuff go, and a lot of people, you have to continue taking them. A lot of people don't even give them a chance, really. They take it for a couple weeks and they're like, oh, well, this didn't help. And then they don't take it anymore. And then they give, herbal remedies a bad rap because they only took it for 2 weeks, Well,
and if you want to take elderberry, for instance, for the cold or the flu, a couple weeks is all you need it for. But if you want to take it and not get the cold or the flu, then you need to take it more regularly.
Yeah.
So I generally take it about 3 times a week. So I don't go near as heavy on it as Tasha does, but honestly, I don't need to. So we'll try to save as much of it for her as we can.
Yeah. So really, this is like a miracle It's a like
Oh,
a
it has.
topical ointment, or how is
Yeah.
she? How does she takes it in pill form, or does she drink it?
No, she drinks it. So
Okay.
we don't make any jams or syrups or anything out of ours. I know Brett Broussards are big on the syrup, and it is amazing syrup. But when you boil it into the syrup, you actually burn out some of the antioxidants and the
Yeah.
flavonoids out of the berry. So we do it strictly for the maximum health benefit possible.
Yeah. And
So
cooking things is not really good, like especially when it comes to herbal things, because I know when I do my infusions with like honey and stuff, you're not, if you cook that honey, you're just basically, you might as well just put a pound of sugar in it.
right.
So you really have to watch the temperature of how you, when you infuse stuff, because I mean your elderberry syrup from the store is not what you're drinking. What your
No.
elderberry syrup from the store is like sugar,
Right.
basically.
Now, most of your elderberry products that you can buy at the stores are going to be the Sambucus nigra, which is the European elderberry, because that's where it has been farmed commercially for so long, and it's a lot more readily available in bulk quantities. So it's grown all over the world, but Europe is the number one supplier right now. The American elderberry, the Sambucus canadensis, is rapidly growing. So, and the commercial growers in the U.S. are multiplying every year, but it's not to the point yet that it's commercially viable for on the shelf products at your local Walgreens.
Yeah.
But the big difference, and the reason that the American elderberry is honestly the better of the two, is the American elderberry does not have the precursors of cyanide like the European does. So we do not have to bring ours to a boil to burn out that precursor cyanide.
Yeah.
So we don't have to lose any of the antioxidants or any of the flavonoids or any of the other good benefits. So, my opinion, ours is a lot better than theirs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's really cool. That's good. That's good to know too. I know there are several elderberry bushes or plants out there. I know we have the dark one. It's like they're really small and they're really black. I don't know. That must be like the older kind, right? Because I know
they're
one and there's something else too. And
there are the blue ones they're loosely called elderberry. They're closely related, but they are not actually a Sambucus. Okay. So I can't remember exactly what they are. It's the way I understand on that, it's more of a folklore that they're an elderberry.
Oh, okay.
So I don't believe they're actually a true elderberry. So, and I don't know anything about them. The black elder, the Sambucus canadensis or Sambucus nigra, is what I keep all my research around.
And we have Mimsy's garden in here. I haven't seen her in a really long time. It's so awesome to have you in here. I appreciate you coming. So, okay. You found out, you have this miracle herbal remedy for your wife, which is absolutely amazing. So that obviously struck a passion in you to want to really get into this. So how much land have you dedicated to these elderberries?
Well, at our current house, we've got 60 bushes. So I've got 2 short rows. Our problem where we're at this moment, that is going to be changing very soon, is water supply. So right now we have to water everything with city water. So, which of course isn't the best way to do it, but I just can't physically afford the amount of water that elderberry really wants.
Yeah.
So now we will be replanting all of our elderberry, because here in just over 30 days, we're going to be abandoning our orchard. So we got just closed on, or just went under contract on our house. So we're going to be moving to some new property and starting over and planting. I'm hoping to do at least a quarter acre of
Okay.
elderberry.
That would be
So,
awesome.
which is going to be around 700 to 800 bushes.
Okay. That will be absolutely amazing for you guys. Now, in your future, do you plan how do you plan on getting this started? You want to do a business with this, correct? So how are you going to get this started? I got people in the chat like wanting to know this, like, you know.
Well, there's several companies that buy elderberry.
Okay.
The only one that I personally would do business with, and it is nothing against the others, there's nothing wrong with them, but is Terry Durham from River Hills Harvest in
Yeah.
Missouri.
I love watching his videos.
Well, and it doesn't matter whether it's his videos or at the conferences or what, he is a wealth of knowledge, and he will sit and talk to you for hours on end just to spread the news about elderberry.
Yeah.
So when I was getting into it and doing research, I just called him out of the blue. I don't remember what the question was, but it was something that I hadn't been able to find online. And I called River Hills, expected to get a voicemail or some secretary. And I did get a secretary. And she said, hold on just a minute. Let me get Terry on the line. And Terry got online and we talked for half an hour.
That is
So
amazing.
we would have kept going, but I had to get back to work. I was on my lunch break.
That's amazing though, because usually you get like a voicemail or you get puts his,
yeah,
and like he's just like, oh, I'll answer the phone. That's so cool.
And their whole business is buying berries, juicing it, and selling the juice. And he's also started making some other products with it now. But he's the one that at the Life Conference 2 years ago in Hannibal, Missouri, I saw him, and that was the first time I got to meet him in person. And we just got to chatting, and I asked him, I said, I hate to ask you this, but I'm having a problem with my juice whenever I bottle it, with it going bad, sitting on the shelf or even in the fridge. I had to bring it out and actually freeze it to keep it fresh. And he said, well, you need to add a little bit of lemon juice or a little bit of citric acid. And I apologize not being home tonight. I had all my notes, but they're on my desk. But he told me what to bring the pH to, which is very, very minimal. It does not take very much lemon juice or citric acid to adjust the pH to where it is shelf stable in a jar.
Yeah, like jam.
And yeah. But, and that was, he just freely gave me that information, knowing I told him up front, I'd like to start selling some of this around my hometown. And he didn't care. So that's why I would, when I start selling berries, he's going to be my contact to sell my berries through.
That's so cool.
So just because of how freely he does with the,
I've had some of their products. They sell them at Layman's Hardware, actually.
Oh, okay.
Like some of their, like the elderberry lemonade and stuff that he makes.
Yes.
And I had some of it, and it was really good. It was really good. Some of their products are kind of hard to get. They don't have them in our area as much, but Layman's Hardware was one of those places. And I think Doug and Stacy had a lot of influence on that because they had him on the show and stuff like that. So I think that was kind of cool. Like, I think the guy is totally cool. I'd love to also pick his brain. That would be really cool, but I haven't got there yet. But yeah, so that would be really cool. Okay. You talk to him, you want to get this down pat, and eventually you want to start selling this, this elderberry, this miracle, this fountain of youth, as we say.
So the main goal right now is, with our 60 bushes and limited water supply, we're still not quite supplying enough berries for our use. So I'm still either foraging for wild berries, or honestly, last couple of years, I've just been too busy or too lazy, one, depending on who you ask, to go out and hunt down the bushes. So I've just been going and getting a bucket from Bob McCord, the grower that taught me how to grow them.
I got a question from Camp Patton Family Compound asking, how much water do elderberries actually need?
Well, that's a matter of opinion. The if you get on and read some of the commercial growers that are doing it commercially, some of them actually don't even water their bushes. They just whatever they get naturally. So now they do try to plant in your wetter areas. They will do okay there, but they don't produce near the berry that they will if you water them heavily. The Bob McCord, he's actually, I'm lucky enough, he's an hour away from me, and he's the #1 grower in the nation. He's watering the equivalent to 1 inch of rainfall per day. So when you figure an inch of rain over the average 12-foot diameter root span of a mature elderberry bush, it comes somewhere around 24 to 28 gallons a day per bush.
Okay.
So now that's growing very large berries, very juicy berries. Currently, my berries will juice out at around 60 to 65% by weight. So when I juice them compared to what my berries weighed before to how much juice I get, his berries are juicing out over 92%.
Okay.
So if you have a extremely good free water source, I don't believe you can give them too much water.
Yeah, ours are basically our area and our yard where we have them. It's very wet, and in fact, we dug a hole there and put a livestock pond in there for our ducks because there's just so much water there. We're like, well, why not take advantage of that for our ducks? But our elderberries are right around that corner of our fence where that yard floods out. And so they just eat it up. And we got black currant there too. And the black currant every year, that is one bush that just like, you can't even harvest all of it. It just goes crazy. And so the elderberry is just like spreading like wildfire there.
It does.
And we got some even on the opposite side of the fence that just started on its own because it's just going crazy right there.
Yep.
And that leads me into something I wanted to talk to you about. How do you care for these bushes? Because okay, ours is like 6 foot tall now. It's
short,
huge. And so, and last year, I think it was the first year that we really got a lot on it. And we watched. We made sure that the birds didn't get it first because we wanted some of it, you know.
You were watching it close then.
Yes. So how do you take care of these bushes, and how do you get the maximum amount of berries off of them?
If you want the maximum amount of berries, one, you need to fertilize. So they like a lot of nitrogen. I believe the average rate's about 20 pounds per year spread across 3 different feedings.
Okay.
So I use dehydrated chicken manure.
Oh,
so
okay.
when I can find it
around here.
So if you've got that, spread some of it around. They'll do great. Now I will warn you, your bush will not stay 6 foot tall.
Okay.
So our bushes this last year, which was half our orchard is 2 years old. The other half is 1 year. But I need to trim mine down right now. But I believe my tallest canes are around the 14-foot mark right now.
Okay.
So they will get a lot taller when they're fed well.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
the good thing is,
I'm only 5 foot tall here. I'm going to have to get a ladder to get these elderberries.
Well, you can always just grab the canes and pull them down to you.
Yeah.
So, and if you damage a cane, it really doesn't matter because once they go dormant in the winter, the best thing to do is cut them down to the ground level.
Okay.
So I come up probably, well, what I use to cut mine, I've got a big steel weed eater from back in my days of landscaping. And I've got one of those brush cutter saw blades, looks like a chainsaw wrapped around a disc.
Yeah.
And that's what I use for trimming mine to the ground every year.
You said it's
so,
that's what that was.
Yeah.
So we have a Shindawa or whatever. My husband's so scared of that thing.
I've had a couple Shindawas. They are good machines.
So we're just cut them down. Well, how far? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. How far down to the ground should you cut these bushes again?
I generally go about 1.5 inches, 2 inches off the ground, and that's just ballparking it.
Because that's what we're scared of. We're scared that if we cut them all the way down, it's not going to come back.
They will come back.
Okay.
They will come back.
Okay.
So and some of the testing that Bob has done, as well as Terry and several others, the University of Missouri has a lot of real good research. They've been real heavy into the elderberry for over a decade now. And the Kerr Center in Oklahoma has also done a lot of research and a lot of studies on the care and everything for the elderberry.
Okay.
So that's two great resources on that. But they have found they're actually getting around 20 to 30% higher yields on the commercial level.
Okay.
So now I'm not sure how that would do for someone that just say has a random bush in the side yard and is not watering it and not feeding it. So I'll caveat my cutting them to the ground with that.
Okay.
I believe it would probably be somewhere around the same, but if you're watering it and feeding it properly, they will grow back every year.
Okay.
So, and they will get bigger and bigger and bigger.
I mean, we definitely don't feed it. Well, it gets grass clippings because when my husband, I mean, it's right along the fence. So like when my husband's mowing the lawn, like all the grass clippings like go right there. So it gets that, but we don't typically feed them. And then it gets tons of water because sometimes it's specifically after all the snow is gone and like it's rained a lot, it just lays in water back there. So
Right.
it's almost like a swamp. Like they kind of get tons of water. But yeah, so
I just saw what's the best soil pH.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
I just realized that's what that was. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone. It's several feet away. So
I'm sorry. I didn't think about that either.
Honestly, I don't know. So I'm sure it's probably in my notes somewhere, but that I don't know. So when I do mine, I've just tilled the ground, added in some organic compost, and stuck them in the ground. So I do know they
hammer in here. Give me 1 second. I don't know why. I'm not that big here, so I don't know why they want to flock in here. I know I had Justin Bieber in one of my chats before. Oh, I thought that was funny, but okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So go ahead.
You're fine. I do know they do like slightly acidic soil, but they will grow in more base soil. So from what I understand, they will grow pretty much anywhere, anytime they get a chance. They're a lot like a blackberry. If you said the easiest way to plant it is to throw a stick on the ground.
Okay.
But I do know they do like an acidic soil to really get the best berry production.
All right. So we have a lot of pine trees like around our house and stuff. So that's
shove your pine needles up around it.
Yeah. So that's probably another reason why that corner of the house, like they really just thrive there because they're getting what they need as far as that's concerned. My husband's apologizing because he's my only mod this evening. So
no.
Okay. So we can cut it down. We can cut the bushes down. Hopefully they'll come back, right? I want them to
and
come
then you
back.
can take
Scared.
And when you cut it down, you can take your cuttings and get you some more bushes growing.
Yeah. And what's the best time to do that is when the elderberry plant, the bush is in dormancy.
When
right?
It's in full dormancy, which I know mine are currently, and being in Ohio, I'm sure yours really are right now.
Yeah.
So just, again, at home, I had a cutting sitting on my desk ready for this.
It's okay.
But as you look at the cane, you're going to have the little nodules where the leaf limbs start coming out.
Yeah.
I like to do at least 4 nodules whenever I cut mine. So at the bottom nodule, I'll go about 1 inch below, cut at a 45-degree angle, and then count up 4 nodules and cut it off approximately half to 1 inch above the 4th nodule. Okay. And then I'll bury the first 2 nodules in the ground. So, and a lot of people, like when we sold cuttings here year before last, they wanted to start them in pots. They wanted to do all this. And I told them, just go out and stick them in the ground. So when I've stuck my cuttings in the ground, now my cuttings did come from some really healthy stock originally, but I got over a 90% propagation rate.
Wow.
So out of my cuttings, and I literally just walked outside where I had tilled the rows at and shoved them in the ground and watered them.
Nice.
I didn't start them in cups. I didn't start them in pots, or I started one in a pot. And that video is slowly going to be put together. So I'm doing a test. But they're literally that easy to plant. You just shove them in the ground.
That's amazing. Like this, okay, not only is it super easy to start, but it's like this amazing wonder herb slash berry. It's like the fruit of the gods, you know? Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. I have a question from the Big Blue House Homestead. And I think we talked about it earlier, but she's asking, is there a variety that is better than others?
As far as health benefits or growing?
I assume that she basically wants it for health benefits. What's the better berry? What's the better one?
As far as a large grouping, I would say the Sambucus canadensis, the American elderberry, because it has over 16 more antioxidants than the Sambucus nigra or the European elderberry does.
Okay.
Now, if you want to break it down further than that and get into some of the different varieties of the American elderberry, my mind is blank what they call that right now, but you've got different varieties like the Bob Gordons, the Marge, the Ranch. I think there's about 20 different ones.
I know I have one. It's called Nova or something like that.
Okay, I have heard. I don't have any experience with that.
It has not done anything for me. Like I planted them from somebody else, and I put them in the yard where my swamp is next to the other ones, and it hasn't done a dang thing. But this other one, it is spread like wildfire. Like it's a wild bush. It's very wild.
Okay. Well, I primarily have Bob Gordons. The biggest reason I like them is the Bob Gordon and the I forget the other one that does it, but Bob Gordon is the best producer of the two. Normally you'll see, especially when you see the flower heads, it looks kind of like a big umbrella sitting there whenever you have the white flowers.
Yeah.
Most of them will stay that way and set berries with the berries facing up. The Bob Gordons, as the berries start to fill with the water, they will actually turn down.
Yeah, I think
so that whenever
does that.
You may have a wild Bob Gordon then.
Yeah, I might.
One of the others.
I don't know. The previous owners had planted it, and I didn't really knew kind of what it was, but then I didn't know all this wonderful stuff about it, you know. And then I did some research, listened to your videos, and I was like, man. But ours does that. It hangs. Like it does. It has the berries, and then once they get that, and it just like hangs kind of like a little, I don't know, a web, like.
Yeah.
You know?
I call it like an upside down umbrella. The way they're kind of they're kind of that upside down umbrella shape. Yeah. The biggest reason I prefer that is with them sitting down like that, when the birds land, they have a hard time reaching the berries.
Oh, I like that idea.
So you don't lose near as many berries as you do with the Ranch or the Adams that turns upright.
Yeah.
Now, if you're wanting to make wine, your Adams 2 variety has a lot higher brisk level. So they make a better wine. So, but again, we're in it for the health benefits. So I want to get most berries as I possibly can.
Yeah, and as a wine drinker and myself, I don't really care as long as the wine tastes good. Like, I know, you know what I mean. Like, I'm not gonna be a wine snob.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm not a wine drinker, so.
Okay, so we are live with Trip H right now. He is in his truck because he's a hard worker, but he has a ton of elderberry knowledge. And if you all in the crowd out there have any questions for him, make sure it's in all caps so I can read it. And, you know, pick his brain. You know, he's here, he's live. Why not do it right now? So go ahead and put your questions in the chat. This has been a really awesome conversation with you. Like, I love talking about plants and elderberries and stuff like that. I really like to talk about herbal remedies and how good things are for you. This elderberry bush just seems like it's the go all. Like, it's,
Uh,
and
I'm still learning more. I'm still learning more benefits of it every time I get in and sit down and start reading. Hippocrates, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, the ancient Greek, he called the elderbush his medicine chest.
Yeah.
Because just about every part of the elderberry, from the berries, the leaves, the flowers, the bark, the cadmium layer, and even the roots, have medicinal uses.
Yeah.
So the berries, of course, that's what we've been talking about this whole time. But the flowers, if you harvest the flowers before they go berries, they have a lot of the same benefits, and they have a lot sweeter taste. So you can make like an elderberry cordial that is a good immune booster. I'm not sure if it has all the antioxidants and flavonoids that the berries have, but I do know it is a great immune booster. And we tried it. We just didn't really care for it.
Yeah.
You can also make teas out of the leaves and out of the flowers. So they have a lot of good benefits.
I would make sure that I had a ton of bushes before I started picking off those flowers, though.
Yes, because it takes a lot of flowers to do anything
Those
with.
flowers turn into berries.
Right. And that's why we wait until ours go to berry.
Yeah.
But the roots have clotting agents. So you can actually use the roots to help seal a wound.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable all the different uses there is for the plant.
Yeah, I didn't know that about it. And a lot of people are scared. Like I was scared because you hear about it having cyanide in it, and that scares you. It scares a lot of people. And so if you aren't educated about it, then, a lot of people just don't touch anything but the berries.
Right.
I know that you can have a little bit of cyanide in your system and it's not going to hurt you. You would have to probably eat like the entire, bush in order.
And it's not actually cyanide.
Yeah.
Of course, now the American elderberry, like I said earlier, does not have any of the precursors cyanide.
Yeah.
And some people do still eating raw berries. They will still get a little bit of an upset stomach, but they've actually proven that's not from anything in the plant. It's just some people stomachs don't handle the raw berry as well. But there is nothing harmful in the American elderberry. So you can eat all the berries you want. We eat raw berries all day long during harvest time. So it doesn't bother any of us.
Yeah.
So I've gone as far as pulling some of my frozen berries out and chewing on them whenever it's 105 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to do that. I'd like to do that with grapes too.
Yeah. I don't care for frozen grapes. Tasha loves them.
Yeah, so that's really good.
I really wish she had been able to be on here tonight so that she could tell everybody some of the benefits, but with a
maybe
family emergency.
Yeah, I understand, but maybe we can have her on later on, like maybe in the summertime or something. I'll have her on again, or have you guys on again, and we can just chat it up. I love talking about elderberries. Then
anytime.
Maybe elderberries will be bloomed and stuff like that, and we can talk a little bit more about making them into things and stuff like that. I did make an elderberry syrup for my husband, but I didn't cook it for very long. I just kind of just let it simmer, and then I put a little bit of honey in it. And then I also, the Broussards have that kit. I had a kit fiasco before. Accidentally bought like 5 of them at a time. It was an accident. So I'm like messaging them, freaking out. It came to like $80. I'm like, I don't need $80 of this kit. I'm so sorry. Like, what? I don't know what I was doing, because it was on Etsy, and it just, I wanted to see how much they were. I typed it in, and it was like, whoa. And like, I just instantly bought like $80 worth of kits. I'm so sorry. I got one of their kits, and I got it, and it came with like some spices and stuff in it. And it's really good. Like, it's really, and when you're sick, like, I don't take it on a normal basis, but when you're sick, I know you have to take more of it at a time. Like you have to
Right.
take 4 or 5 shots a day or something like that of it. And it's like my husband was sick, I was sick. We just were, this year was the year of just all herbal remedies. Like we were, if we were sick, that's what we were doing. Just get it in us, you know? So, okay. So what other things, okay, can this do for you?
Well, we done, of course, colds, flus, basic immune system booster. It's a diuretic, so anybody that's on any kind of diuretics for different reasons. I'm not a medical person by any means, so I don't know why people take diuretics all the time. It has some anti-inflammatory. Sorry, there's a couple of trucks going by. I don't know if y'all can hear that.
No, actually, thank you for doing this.
Oh, okay.
Truck. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. So I appreciate it.
So, well, I had to roll my window down because it was getting kind of hot and stuffy in here. This truck's too loud. Just let it idle. But it does have some anti-inflammatory properties to it. Not enough to really do a lot for you, but they are there. There's also antibacterial and antimicrobials in there. Tasha had a toothache one time, and she just took a little bit extra. So, and the elderberry killed the infection out. She never had to go on any kind of antibiotics.
Man.
So that was another thing. And that was just pure accident that we learned that. And she just tried it. So she just, I'm going to double up on my elderberry for a few days and see if it'll help. And it did. And then started researching it. And sure enough, it has been used in the past as an antibiotic. So again, it just keeps giving.
Yeah.
Now, after we juice our berries, we still have 2 more uses for our mash. I don't know if you've seen that video of ours.
Yeah.
We take the mash and then we distill elderberry hydrosol out of it.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't played around with my still yet because I haven't grown anything.
Oh, that's right. You have the still.
But I'm really interested in that. Like I can't wait. I can't wait to. I bought herbs this year that I've never even heard of, just so I can still it. So I can't wait.
Let me know how that goes, because I might have to buy one.
Okay.
To do it on a little larger scale. We do it in a crock pot.
Yeah.
So I take the crock pot lid, I take the plastic handle off, I put just a stainless steel screw in there, and I flip the crock pot lid over with a little small mason jar in the middle of the crock pot and stuff my mash all around it and just turn it on low and let it go for the night. So then I'll put a bag of ice on top of it, and that kind of helps everything condense and run down into the center. But that hydrosol is extremely good for dry skin. So as a truck driver, I'm sure with your husband, my left arm stays burnt.
Yeah. He has one tan arm and one not so tan arm.
Yeah.
His arm's always in the window, you know?
Yeah. I don't tan. Being a redhead, I burn and then I go back to white. So, but my left arm is always a lot redder than my right.
Yeah.
So it's real good for that. It will take the burn out of a sunburn. So if you have a sunburn, you can mist the hydrosol on and it will take the burn out of it. It's extremely good at reducing bruising. So my grandmother had fallen into a door jamb, and from above her right eye, over the left, and down her whole left side of her face was just black and blue. So the doctor told her at her age that she was probably going to have that bruise for 2 to 3 months. So, and Terry actually, again, he had told me that the hydrosols were showing really good promise for bruising and skin health. So I took her a bottle. So it was our first run of hydrosol. And a week later, I'm getting a call from her nurse wanting to know what it was that I gave my grandmother. So, and that's just how she asked.
Secret recipe.
Well, she asked me, she said, "What was that bottle that you brought your grandmother?" And I was like, "Oh crap, what did I do to my grandmother?" So, and then she's like, No, I want to know, because the bruising is half of what it was when I saw her last week. And we weren't expecting any progress in it. And I told her what it was. And then the next day, her doctor happened to come out there because he wanted to see the results. And he called wanting to know what it was. and he now wants to buy a gallon of it. Well, I don't have a gallon of it. But so, and then I've given some to my dad, and after years of being in law enforcement and directing traffic so much, he has real bad dry skin on his arms and his face, and it's done wonders for his skin as well. So the uses don't end.
Yeah.
And then after we distill everything we can out of them then we slowly feed our mash to our chickens. So, and since we've been feeding the elderberry mash to the chickens, we have never had a chicken come down with any kind of respiratory infection or coop cough or anything.
I'm totally going to be doing that.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's one of my biggest fears is one of my chickens getting sick, because now I have like 60 chickens. And so one of them gets sick, and that especially respiratory, that'll spread like wildfire in that.
Yes.
Situation. So I was giving them, I had a bunch of oregano that I had dried out, and I put some hot water. I kind of made like this tea out of it, and then I put it directly in their water, and I made them drink that like for a couple weeks, and I think that's kind of helped them too. But the elderberry thing, I'm really into doing that for them, because I want to have I just want to have the best, healthiest birds,
Right.
That means something to me, to make sure that they're okay out there, So I definitely want to do that.
Well, we were doing, we had around 40 birds. We have none right now because we're getting ready to move. But when we had around 40 birds, we feed fodder. I don't know if you're familiar with fodder. We do a lot of fodder for our birds, help keep the cost of feed down.
Yeah.
And I would, on a 10 by 20 tray that we do our fodder in, I would just get a cup of the elderberry mash, trying to stretch it out, make it last all year, and sprinkle it over the top of that fodder. And the chickens would actually go through and dig through and just rip apart all that fodder mat until they found all the berries. And they would eat all the berries. Then they would go to eating the fodder or eating their grain.
Yeah.
So they love them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because some of those like medications and stuff that you buy at Tractor Supply, a lot of people don't know this, but I think I can't remember. It's one specifically for when they get sick. Like if you give that to them, you can never have eggs from your chicken again, because it does something to them. So I'm like, I'm always giving them herbs of some sort. I'm always, just to keep on top of it, giving them garlic, giving them apple cider. So many people out there are so against apple cider vinegar. It's ridiculous.
I know.
I don't get it.
I can't stand it.
Like, I don't want to give my chickens chemical. When I can give them apple cider vinegar, it doesn't make any sense to me. But people can be very weird.
Well, the entire healthcare industry is, I believe they actively fight against herbal remedies because they can't control it.
Yeah.
If they don't make it in their lab and have something that they can put a patent on to make them a fortune, they can't control it. So they don't want people to know that, hey, you can go out here and grow a bush in your yard and collect the berries off of it and do a better job than these 24 different pills I want to force down your throat every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't.
So, and we've proven that ourselves.
They always put warnings on herbal remedies. This is not approved by the,
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense. As long as you know what you're taking, do a little research, figure it out and see if it works for you,
And I do not, on that subject, I do not recommend anybody just go in the woods and start eating berries.
No.
So, because there are, in different parts of the country, there are berries that look similar to the elderberry that are poisonous.
Yeah, pokeberry and all of that looks similar, but it's not. Yeah.
Right. So you have to know what it is you're eating. The good thing is, and I need to do another video on this, elderberry, if you know what you're looking at, if you can look at the leaves and look at the stem, it's very distinctive that you have the right bush.
Yeah.
So I was just out here a few weeks ago. We were out in Georgia at Big Bear Homestead, and he had no idea. He's got an entire forest of elderberry in his back corner of his property.
Yeah.
So, and he had no idea what it was.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
I'll be looking next year. Them having a lot of elderberry growing.
Wild. A lot of people, I did a foraging live with Uncle Al, and he taught me so much about lookalikes. There are so many different lookalikes out there. It makes foraging scary. Like, I wanted to do it, and I'm glad now that I didn't do it, because there are, so many different lookalikes out there. So you don't really know if you have the right one. So you just really need to educate yourself, and pick the right one.
And once you know what you're looking for, especially the time of year when they start to bloom out, and you start getting those brilliant white flowers, that's when it's the easiest to locate them. And after we started saying, okay, we're not going to have enough berries of our own, where can we go forage? I started watching for the time when they started to flower out. And it amazed me just how many I found just from our house into town. So there was over 70 bushes in the 7-mile stretch from our property into Hot Springs that just growing on the side of the road in the ditch. So, and I would just go through and kind of make a mental note, or some of the real big ones that I found, I would actually just take a pin drop on Google Maps so that I knew where they were. And I collected 40, 50 pounds just off the side of the road.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but again, you need to make sure you know what you're looking at.
Yeah. A lot of people, they just have no clue what they have. Like Big Bear Homestead, they had no idea, So that's pretty cool.
So, and they'll,
okay.
If you cut your bushes down every year, your largest canes are probably going to be about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick. That is kind of the average size of your canes once they hit full maturity. The first few years, they're going to be small.
Yeah.
But once they get to about 3 to 4 years old, you'll average 1/2 to 3/4 inch diameter canes. But if you don't trim your bushes down, and you don't have to, I do, just because that's how I was taught, and I believe that they get a better yield. But those same canes, they can grow up. I've seen elderberry canes almost 2.5 inches in diameter. So, I mean, they'll grow up to the size of a tree trunk nearly.
Yeah, ours is really thick, because I don't think it's ever been cut down. Like, the main part of it is pretty big, and then it kind of curves over, and like, it's big. And so that's another thing I think that scared us a little bit, is that we didn't want to cut it because it's so big. It's like,
right. Well, one also big reason behind cutting them is you only get berries on first year and second year canes. So once the cane gets to its third year, it doesn't produce berries anymore. So now it's just taking nutrients, it's taking water, and it's not producing anything.
So it's a freeloader.
Right. So some people cut them down to the ground like us. Some people just selectively prune. So if you've only got 1 or 2 bushes, you might want to try just selectively pruning your larger, older canes out. So
just like any dead one, ones that just don't look so hot, prune them off. It'll help the bush. You can prune those. Yeah, right. Okay. So, but there's nothing wrong with cutting them all the way down to the ground. Now, if you're starting from scratch, if you're just planting starts, I do not recommend cutting them down to the ground year 1. Okay. So I let mine grow till after the second year. And after the second year is whenever I start trimming them down to the ground. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So obviously yours is well past its second year. So. Oh, yeah. I think it's been here maybe close to 10 years. 7, 8 years it's been here. It's been here for a while. So if you start pruning it back, it'll probably start producing better and better over the next couple of years. Yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah, my husband says I'm going to go cut them back for sure this week. So he's going to do it while it's still snowing and they're still dormant. So
Right.
yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm hoping that we get some really awesome berries this year. That's the only thing is like, I just worry that it's not going to shoot up as fast or something, it worries me.
Well, if you're going to feed it, cut it back.
Yeah.
If you're not going to feed it, I would selectively prune.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. We heavily feed ours.
Yeah.
So I cut them back.
Start. I just have to worry. See, that's another thing I have to worry about, just selectively feeding too and putting piles of chicken poop places because I have dogs and they're just going to want to roll in it. So I have to watch that too. So I might just do like grass clippings and around them too. And that like will also keep the weeds down too. Because my husband doesn't like to take the weed whacker around those bushes because he doesn't want to damage the plants, So we always have like weeds, up around the bushes and stuff. So I imagine I could just take grass clippings and put them along there, and it'll keep the grass down too, around those bushes. But yeah, he said, I'm neck deep in chicken crap here. We got plenty of fertilizer. We do. We do. This winter.
Well, you can always just build you a little fence around just the base of the plant and put some in there, keep the dogs out.
Yeah, I think, that's a really good idea. We might do that.
So, or break the ground up a little bit and kind of till it in a couple inches deep.
But yeah, so I'm happy. I still got some frozen in my freezer too. So I'm just really happy with what it did for me. And then the other one that's across the way, I think a bird might have spread that over there from a seed because it's just, it's just a random bush and and
how far away is it?
I don't know. Probably, it's my one big bush is on a corner and then it's just up a few, maybe 6 or 7 posts. That's like 4 feet. I don't know. It's quite a not really huge distance. It's in, the same kind of general area. I don't know, maybe 24 feet away.
Okay, that's probably a spread from seed.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is they will sprout.
I was surprised.
They will sprout from the roots of the parent plant.
Oh, okay.
So I've had some this year. My rows are 12 foot apart. That's the normal for commercial growing is 12 foot apart on the rows because they do come out and bush out so much. You still want to be able to get in between your rows. But I've had some try to start right in the middle of my row. So they're in between my 2 rows,
Yeah.
And just sprouting up from the roots.
That's
and it really hurts me to go in there and mow those down, but I have to be able to get into my others.
Right. Yeah.
But whenever we're planting our rows, we plant our bushes 18 to 24 inches apart going down the rows, and they just grow into each other and they do just fine.
That's so cool. That's really cool.
So you end up with this like massive hedgerow look. So, and I wish I had the pictures I could send over to you or something. I think we posted them on Instagram and Facebook of Bob McCord's, the large 12-acre commercial grower, of his bushes in full bloom. There's just a whole field of rows, 12-foot tall elderberry bushes that are 10, 12 foot wide, just bloomed out in massive white bunches of flowers.
Wow.
So it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that would be amazing to see.
So and he keeps all the grass down in between the rows mowed down real nice and neat. And so it's just a beautiful grow.
I can imagine. That'd be really cool. Well, we plan on expanding our garden. We already expanded to like 400 square feet, but we plan on moving our fence like all the way down past our greenhouse. And so it's all connected. So we don't have to go around our fence from the greenhouse. So it's just be one giant area. And I believe that our elderberry bush would be in that area. So we can probably close that off and just keep, and feed it that way and do it that way. We plan on having a lot more elderberry bushes. We want to do the cuttings and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about our future here at this farm and what all we can do.
So
and a lot of people
also have to protect them from deer. If you've got deer in your area, our first year of growing, we nearly lost all of our plants due to deer.
Oh,
So they will come in and strip every leaf off of it.
we have deer, but I've never seen them in that area.
Okay.
We have across the way, my mom has this. I mean, this is the biggest crabapple tree I have ever seen in my life. It's been there for like 30 years, and it's huge. And the deer, when the crab apples come out and they drop to the ground, the deer come up there and just eat them. And I contribute that to the reason why we still have our plants. Because they go after that and not the other stuff, because there's always so many crab apples, and then of course they come up, especially after you mow over them, because then they can really smell it. And so then we had like 6 deer come up and eat from that crab apple tree one time. We kept hearing this sound. We look out the window, there's like 6 deer eating from this from this crab apple tree right in my mom's front yard. It was awesome. Very cool.
Well, the first time I walked out and saw, it had to have been 6 or 7 deer in our elderberry orchard munching on our plants that first year.
No.
I turned back around. I started to grab the rifle, and then I thought, you can't shoot them because that's facing the neighbor's house.
Yeah. Oh no.
I was so mad.
I would have went out there and ran after them.
I did run them off, and I let our Great Dane out, and he ran them off. But I was so aggravated. And then the next year is when we put our electric fence up around them.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Yeah. We have those. It's a Premier One fence. Do you have that, or you just have like?
I have Gallagher.
Gallagher. We love that thing. That thing has protected our chickens from so many predators. We have fox, and our big main predator here is raccoon. They are just nasty, 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 nasty. And they want our chickens so bad, but they have not succeeded because, we with that fence, it's just been amazing. And it's really helped protect our investment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things about the Gallagher that I like over the Premier One, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. What is the difference?
So it's the way they build. Are you talking like their smart fence system, like the netting?
Yeah, it's like it's a netting. It's hardwired in. It's not a solar panel fence.
Not a solar. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with their stuff, but I believe on the netting, as well as their pull apart strand system, the bottom of that net, the bottom inch or so, is not energized. It's just actually a ground wire, and you don't need that. The grounding that they're standing on is grounding them. So they tend to, especially like if you're trying to hold hogs in, the hogs can get their nose up underneath that and pop the fence out of the ground.
Oh, okay.
Where the Gallagher, the entire system is energized. So now, I mean, obviously, we're not sponsored by either. Just I've looked at both, and the Gallagher seems to be the better in my opinion.
So if we were to get hogs or something like that, more substantial, we would have to do a little more research and probably get the other one. Because I've heard that not just from you. I think I've heard it from other people too, that the Premier One fence their goats always get out, or their hogs have been getting out, or whatever. You're not the only person I've heard say that. So, but with
the chickens, the first person that I've had tell me about the Gallagher was Jeremiah from Roots and Refuge.
Oh, okay.
So we went up there, and we took them a load of compost, and we took them some elderberry cuttings because they're fairly close to us. And we got up there, and he had just got all his Gallagher equipment in and was really setting it up, and he was showing me some of the benefits of it. And I know they've had both Gallagher and Premier One.
Huh.
So, and he prefers the Gallagher over it. And then also Jason and Robin.
Too. Like
they do.
Keep in. So
yeah. So, and then Jason and Robin at the Big Bear Homestead, they prefer the Gallagher as well, and they've had both. So from their experience and then my experience, which I don't have any direct experience with Premier One, I'll tell you that right now, just from research.
Yeah.
But that Gallagher, I have the S200 solar charger, and it knocked me literally on my butt.
Like
So,
Morgan
I mean,
from
it
Goldshell
literally
Farm.
put me on my butt.
Did you see that episode with Morgan at Goldshell Farm? He
No,
totally
I didn't.
knocked himself out. He had
Oh,
the wire up above his head to keep his birds in, and it's above the gate. So when he went to open it, he walked through and it hit him in the head and it knocked him down on the ground. I was like, oh, they had to hurt so bad. Like, that was all bad.
well, there's a trail around our fence. So our garden, the original section we did was pretty much a rectangle, and then we added an extra little section onto it. So it's got this one little L-shaped piece coming off, and there is a trail about 2 foot out from the fence where the deer walk the fence line trying to figure out how to get in there. So, because we have the elderberry, and then Tasha does her sunflower patch in there as well, and they're dying to get past that fence. But that trail it's a solid 2 to 3 feet out from the fence because they won't get any closer than that. So, of course, it might help that I smash peanut butter on it, or smash tinfoil on the wire and smear peanut butter on it. So, and then the deer come up there rather than jumping it, they come up and try to lick that peanut butter, and
zap.
They get that nice shock to their tongue.
Nice. Coupon Gail here missed a big bunch of this. Just in quick form, what do you use elderberries for? I know we went over this, but I want to make sure that everybody gets a little more knowledge. So just what are elderberries used for? Her phone died.
Quick form, everything. Slightly less quick form. We use it as immune boost for myself and our daughter. Tasha's primary use is the immune boost and diuretic to keep her manures in check, keeps the fluid levels down. We use it for moisturizing skin, reducing bruising, reduce inflammation. I keep a few pieces of root in my toolbox in my shop for clotting if I cut myself on a saw or something. I know there's more. Being on the spot, I can't think right now. But we use it for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's like a wonder herb. It's wonderful. It's like
it is.
It does everything. So, okay, if you guys have, we're gonna start wrapping things up here. If you guys have any more questions, make sure they're in all caps in the chat. We have Trip H here with us this evening. His wife couldn't make it, so maybe next time we will do one with your wife as well and get her in with the mix and get some information from her as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, now this is the time to do it. I want to thank you, Kyle, for just coming on and doing this with me. Like,
my pleasure.
So important, and a lot of people don't know about it or they're afraid of it. Like my mom, I made her elderberry syrup. I put it in like a little jar because I know how my mom is, and I didn't want to waste it. She threw it out. You know, some people are like that. It's so
that's how my mom is too. If it doesn't come in a pill, they don't want it.
And my mom's old and set in her ways, and you know, so you think she's gonna try it? No, you know. So
my mother has been the same way. She's finally started to take on the elderberry some, but after she just had COVID here a few weeks ago, she was having worse migraines than she's ever had. And I gave her some shiso tea probably a year ago, and she just let it go bad sitting in the fridge. And finally, just a couple of weeks ago, she got so bad, her medication wasn't helping. She finally tried it. And now she loves it. And she hasn't had a migraine since.
Oh, yeah. It's just trying to convince them to do it.
You know? If it doesn't come in a prescription bottle, this doesn't work as good, they think.
Yeah, because you're right. The FDA is convinced you of that, though. Like,
and the FDA their board is comprised of what? Board members of the pharmaceutical companies.
Yep. Now, we're not doctors here on this show. Like,
No,
no.
no.
We just love what we love. So please, if you do, do your research on herbs before you take them, and and kind of listen to your doctor. If you're on medications, don't just go popping herbs. Figure it out.
A lot of doctors, especially your smaller doctors that aren't attached to the large pharmaceutical companies, they're starting to come around to more of the herbal remedies.
Yeah.
So, especially elderberry, the benefits of elderberry are undeniable, and the pharmaceutical companies are starting to become a major buyer of raw berries because there's so much that they can use them for. So your number one cough syrup is Sambucol. It's elderberry.
Yep.
It's literally just pure elderberry syrup. So I hope maybe there's starting to be a change in the pharmaceutical world.
I hope so. I tell my doctor, when I go to the doctor, I tell her straight up, if there's an herb for it, I'm going to take it. And she's like, okay. Yeah. She's like, yeah, if it works, do it. Because she's not tied in. My old doctor, I had blood work every 4 weeks, take this pill, take that pill. And, I just wasn't doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Not doing it. So, well, thank you so much, Kyle, for being on the show. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat and supporting us. Check out Trip H. It's Trip H Homestead, correct?
Trip H Farm.
Farm. I'm sorry. Yeah. Trip H Farm. Somebody put the link in the chat. If you can do that, any of the mods, put his link in the chat. Please make sure you subscribe to him because they have wonderful videos. And I checked out their Elderberry playlist. They have really good information on there. I definitely want to have you back on the show sometime. This was a really great chat. And did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I guess that's it right now. So if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to email me. So my email is triphfarm@gmail.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat. Trip H, what is it?
triphfarm @gmail.
@gmail. All right. I'm putting his email in the chat, so if you guys have any questions, you can email Kyle directly. I wanted to also thank, all the mods. I did add a couple more mods in the chat. And I don't know why I didn't have them, like the Brazards. Why didn't I have them as a mod? I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to figure out. So I really thank you guys for being here. And I'm going to end the broadcast now. And we look forward to seeing you all next time. And next week, I believe I have Rebel Canners on the show. So that's going to be fun. We're going to be rebels for the night. Well, thanks. John Hansen just said he subbed. Woo! Thank you so much. And
so there will be a lot more elderberry videos coming because we are fixing to be planting an entirely new orchard here this spring.
Oh, awesome. That is so good. Narrowway Farm, you'll have to do the replay because we're ending the chat. But thank you for stopping in. Just check it out because he has a lot of good information and good information on how to take care of your elderberry bushes as plants as well. So it sounds good to me. And we will see you all next week. And same time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday nights. And y'all have a great night.